Disclaimer. Spoilers ahead. If you haven't watched the movie, you might end up watching this anyway, so watch at your own risk. Well, I guess it's been building up to this. It's been a year since Kpopdemonhunters came out, and I thought to myself it was finally time for me to make this video. And it is a brutally honest opinion of mine that I have held for a year now. And I think now is the best time to explain why Kpopdemonhunters is a 7 out of 10 film and not the masterpiece so many people guess it up to be.
You need to leave!
If you've seen my Snow White 2025 video, and please, oh god, watch it, I put a lot of work into it, it's so good. I mentioned that I like the movie, but it's heavily overrated and is more flawed than the internet wants you to think. And here's the thing, this movie is not the Disney killer, and it isn't even the best Sony movie ever made. Especially considering the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs duology, Surf's Up, the Angry Birds movies, the Hotel Transylvania's movies, with the exception of the fourth one, the Peter Rabbit movies, and especially the Spider-Verse movies, and maybe some others that I have yet to watch. And it's only slightly better than Fixed, despite Fixed having a small compelling story, and despite having lower stakes, better comedy, and just much stronger writing.
We're gonna go out there and suck every bit of fun out of those before you lose them.
Together, we're all gonna suck your What? I meant we're just going along for the ride as you enjoy your before you lose them.
We're off leave!
And it's also got dick jokes, and I really want to explain why. And I'll try to be as fair as I possibly can, even though I resent this movie, because at the end of the day, I still like it and agree that it's good, but that's it. It's good, but not great. And most of all, the objective part of my criticisms are about how overrated it is. But before we get into that, I'll give you a brief detailing of the story to get you up to speed. Please go to this time skip if you don't want to hear me yap about spoilers. Okay, so the movie is about, well, Kpopdemonhunters, K-pop girl band called Huntrix, who are also demon hunters who fight demons to stop them from preying on human souls for their ruler Grima. And the very first group of them, many years ago, prior to the events of the movie, had used their voices to create a barrier called the Honmoon, lame-ass name for a barrier. And many generations of hunter trios later, we now have Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, with the ultimate goal to have the Honmoon become golden as a permanent seal to stop demons once and for all. But Rumi has a sore throat, and then there's this boy band group named the Saja Boys who are all demons, and Huntrix and the Saja Boys have an upcoming battle of the bands, but Rumi and Jinyu, that being the head singer of the Saja Boys, I guess, end up bonding with each other and forming a connection due to their insecurities and their pasts, in a manner that is to an extent similar to Rey and Kylo Ren from Star Wars, because that was one of the best parts of those movies. Also, Rumi is a half-demon because her father is a demon, and she was raised by Selena, and also because her mom is dead. Later on in the movie, however, the Saja Boys sabotage the Battle of the Bands concert when Huntrix has their turn, and Jinyu tries to stop himself from redeeming himself because he wants to forget about his past, and he also wants to forget about the remorse he felt. But Rumi immediately just gets over her dilemmas way too easily. And we cut back to the Saja Boys giving off probably the best song in the movie for a demon concert before the Huntrix kick their asses in a very rushed manner. And also Jinyu redeems himself and sacrifices himself to save Rumi or something, because I guess he realized how fucking stupid it is to just remove any all remorse from your fire cells or whatever. And then I guess the Golden Honmoon. And yeah, that's the movie. And now that I've gotten you up to speed in a very quick manner, I think it's best that now I get to the part where I talk about why the movie is good, before I eventually get into the real meat of this video. I think the whole appeal of Kpopdemonhunters for many people came from the animation and the songs. And yeah, they do live up to the hype, unlike the rest of the movie. It's not as great as Spider-Verse's in terms of animation, but let's be honest, that's very difficult. It's extremely vibrant and lively, and the action is further encapsulated with said animation style. Although the character expressions look so weird sometimes, like this shot for instance, and they felt it would feel so much better for 2D animation. I don't know, it's just a serious feeling. But the way the characters move is so lifelike and energetic, and certainly so on par with Spider-Verse. But I'm not exactly the greatest with talking about animation, so I'll move on to the other biggest thing about this movie, that being the songs. This is basically the reason why I think this movie is good the best. Most of them single-handedly carry the movie on their broad shoulders, and are the only reason this movie isn't like a 5 or a 6. They are all really fitting songs in the context of the scene they're in. Let's begin with how it's done. It's a heavily action-packed song that definitely fits these characters, and has lots of aura around it. And hey look, it has even more aura than Thrag. It's an earworm, and it makes me want to make a whole fight scene over it. And then there is the only song out of this group I do not like, Soda Pop. Know that I said I do not like it instead of just saying I hate it. I just think it's a bland and generic-ass pop song, and more so just a bit annoying. With that said, it does make sense that it's annoying, and the tone does fit TikTok trends and constant viral videos, which does happen in the movie. I don't exactly care for the lyrics as they give the game away a bit too on the nose because of the fact we saw demons earlier in the flashback intro, or maybe the song is just annoying to me. I think I would like it more if the instrumental wasn't what annoyed me about it, as it was just so bland. Okay, back to praising the music. Golden I can definitely see why it's the fan favorite. And hey, it does at least try to explain the characters' backgrounds and faults better than the actual movie and writing does, alongside the banger instrumental. And next up we have Free. Okay, so despite trying very hard to be a love song, this feels like the type of song that could be interpreted as just two people opening up to each other. Then again, Descendants 2 had that one song between Mal and Evie that was basically like the platonic best friend version of a love song. So it would make sense that this would be seen as a platonic opening up and compassion ballad. Like, I personally do not give a crap about the ship, despite being extremely supporting of it, so see how you think it is. But it's a lovely sounding, and you feel for the both of them. And it also has excellent lyrics. It's the type of song you want to listen to when you want to rest. Now, Takedown is where it's at. It's the type of song I'd make a cover of against pieces of shit. Its lyrics mesh well together. And the instrumental also fits in with the lyrics. It's the best out of the songs, except for one. And it's a really savage song as well, even within the context of the movie with the fake Mira and Zoe. And the Korean lyrics are best flowing in this song, which is ironic, because I can't speak Korean. I think my favorite song out of all of them is Your Idol. What makes this the best is that it's the whole package. Chanting, Korean lyrics that don't feel out of place for English dubs, and would be like demon chants anyway. The best vocalizing in the whole movie, awesome lyrics, and the best instrumental. Sucks that it got cut off in the movie but when it got to the 2-hour mark, because I wanted to hear more of it. But I guess I'll give it a pass, cause what? And then there's what it sounds like. Yeah, great song and all, and the best is the instrumental. Not really something to talk about though. Also, I guess there are occasionally a few good jokes.
Thanks for coming. Not bad on your boy.
I also think the acting in this movie is also really great. It's even better than all the acting in Snow White 2025, despite Snow White 2025 being a better movie. Then again, Snow White 2025 has Gal Gadot in it, so that just makes immediate sense. It captures these characters so well and it's very expressive. Now, you must be thinking I really love this movie, right? Well, I think it's time to get to the part where I talk about why the movie is overrated as hell. As I alluded to earlier, the movie's biggest weakness is its writing, and that its story isn't as strong as people think. And also a few pieces of dialogue here and there that really bug me, but that's not really the point. Here's the point. I think if I wanted to start with why, I should start with the fact that people really treat it like it's extremely developed. But the movie is heavily underdeveloped, mainly with the Saja boys, with the exception of Jinyu. Although Mira and Zoe have it worse because they're the deuterogonists, despite arguably being more developed, but not by much. Mira and Zoe are actually sidelined and just kinda there along for the ride, for the majority of the movie and don't really stand out that much. which sucks, because they are more interesting characters than Rumi. They at least have more of a personality than she does, as I can actually remember they have more than one personality trait, because one of them is a tsundere. He, like, you know, you can guess why, and tsundere is, you know, their type. And Zoe is not only the youngest one of the three, but is also absolutely silly and energetic. I love Zoe. With Rumi, all I know about her character is she's a springboard for the tragic villain, and who's like the only character who is not underdeveloped at all, by the way. And it sucks that her own character arc just gets rushed over in the climax. She just gets over her issues so fast, Miss Officer Celine refuses to kill her. And even though I don't like Celine, credit her as due, she at least didn't have the heart to kill her own adopted daughter. That's one thing I like about her. Gohan has some seemingly very interesting backgrounds for Mira and Zoe, but they are only told to us, not shown. Or they try to show it in the visual department, but still. And even worse, after the song, there was only like one mention that I can think of, and the fact that they all get along extremely well, and then the third act breakup feels pulled right out the ass. It's implied that they've been friends for a while, and they prove Rumi's insecurities right. And they don't accept her and shut her completely until after the final battle, and they just don't address it ever again. Yeah. K-pop Demon Hunters, everybody! For fuck's sake, TV Tropes has a better understanding of the movie's flaws more than even I do. If the movie was much longer, then it wouldn't be so underdeveloped, and maybe it would be the masterpiece that everyone claims it to be. Thing is, the movie actually wants us to care about them without actually knowing them or putting in much effort. Hell, they put all the effort in Jinyu, and even then you could argue he was being heartless abandoning his mother and sister, but hey, at least he actually feels remorse for them. At least he acknowledges what he did was fucked and continues to do it anyway because he is guilty and he wants to forget. And the story makes sure you know that you feel his guilt and know why he did what he did. Heck, his guiltiness is basically why he wants to forget them. Guiltiness? Was that good? Okay, anyways. Although his betrayal is kind of forced. But to be fair, I interpreted this as him just still wanting to forget so much he went back to being the villain. And his sacrifice is him coming to his senses. A la Darth Vader style. Not as well written as Endeavor or Bakugo from My Hero Academia, but that's because this is one movie versus 8 seasons of television and anime. And also 4 movies. And also My Hero Academia, unlike K-pop Demon Hunters, actually develops its main character and makes him have a personality that you can remember him for. And also just makes him more relatable, which is ironic because, you know, Rumi literally just genuinely flips on a dime in the climax way too fast, from hitting herself to accepting herself. I know I said that before, I just wanted to drill that in. Because, like, take a look at the actual scene itself.
Rumi? I thought I could fix it all. Fix me. But I ran out of time. They saw. They know. There's no denying it now. This is what I am. Rumi, no. You knew I was a mistake from the very start. Do what you should have done a long time ago. Before I destroy what I swore to protect. Please. Do it! I can't. When we lost your mother, I swore to protect all that was left of her. But I never thought that would be a child like you. Everything I was taught told me you were wrong. But I made a promise. So I did my best to accept you and help you. Accept me? You told me to cover up, to hide. Yes, until we can fix everything. And we still can. We can cover those up and put everything right again. I'll tell Mira and Zoe that it was all a lie, an illusion by Kima to break us apart. No, no more hiding. No more lies. Rumi, we can still fix this. Don't you get it? This is what I am. Look at me. Why can't you look at me? Why couldn't you love me? I do. All of me. This is why we have to hide it. Our faults and fears must never be seen. It's the only way to protect the Hunmun.
If this is the Hunmun I'm supposed to protect, I'm glad to see it destroyed.
That's it?
They also threw the plot point concepts of nice demons, or demons that were just controlled by Guima, right out of the window without hesitation. And speaking of Guima, can I just point this out for a bit? He looks like D-Side Spirit from Friday Night Funkin' D-Sides, but with the charm or like the actual uniqueness of that design. Because Dwayne, at the very least, he has like the cool black eyes and thorny tentacles or some crap. This? Lame, generic, boring, discount D-Side Spirits. Speaking of being generic or whatever, can I just talk about the cliches? Now look, the cliches used in this movie are not the issue. It's how they're done. Do you see what I did there? Because of how underdeveloped and underwhelming they were executed in this movie, and how the plot points don't really have a proper resolution. Well, okay, some plot points at least. Or some things, I don't know. I mean, if you've seen the movie, you might know what cliches. But given how many people praise this movie, I can definitely see that the cliches are not really the problem. I mean, I've seen movies with cliches that are legitimately fairly rated, and some of them even put a new spin on it to be more original. The movie does try to be more original when it comes to the cliches, and I do see the intention, but man, they just felt underwhelming. Just like Rumi's entire character. Granted, not everything in this movie is a cliche, but the lackluster writing genuinely left a dent in the movie. And while I'm writing this, I just wanted to say how I wrote an entire part that accidentally got deleted because I was being a moron. So I'll just give you a briefer summarization on my next point. That being the inconsistent world building, especially with the Hunmun. They first say it will become golden after they release the single Golden. Yeah, get it? But then it changes to the Idol Awards. Yes, I know the Battle of the Bands thing is the Idol Awards. What of it? This really would have benefited if the latter was said without the former being said, so it would be more consistent. And while we're at it with the Hunmun, the ending tries so hard to be super optimistic because Rumi accepted herself in a rushed manner, and Guima died or some crap, but what about the civilians? What about the ones who had their souls sucked? Why does nobody ever bring that up? And the movie seems to imply that once you turn into a demon, you can't be resurrected as a normal human again, and I seriously hope the sequel retcons this to make resurrection possible to make up for the damage. I mean, for crap's sake, I know I have problems with Palpatine coming back, but like, it wasn't the worst retcon of all time or anything. I mean, the series does try to at least make it look more, I guess, tolerable. Also, I still don't like Celine. And the movie never does anything with her strained relationship with Rumi post-climax. Like, for crap's sake. Chicken Little may be a mean-spirited and bad movie, but hey, at least Buttclock actually apologizes for his behavior, and he and his son end up having a better relationship. I swear, if the sequel doesn't at least rectify my issues, then I will crash out. But even if it does, it still won't change my rating for the movie overall. It will still make the movie a little bit better, at least due to the new context. Plus, the fact that those issues will be fixed. If the sequels do get cancelled, yeah, I think I might have less liking for this movie. And now we get to the biggest problem with the movie, which involves the final battle. After your idol, Rumi just shows up and Mira and Zoe easily get unhypnotized. Okay. Then they all start slashing up all the demons. Genius sacrifices himself, and then they beat Guima's ass. To be honest, my issues mainly stem from a contradiction. Rumi learns to love herself, but then goes on to not try to reason with the demons in any way, and they just kill all of them. Which is ironic, because earlier in the movie, she asked one if they were just being controlled by Guima. This is what I mean by my problems with them throwing away the potential side plot of demons that are actually good people. What would have made the climax better is that if the demons, or at least some of them, from hearing this is what it sounds like, would fight back against Guima, because that humanity would have come back. Yeah, and that would make sure that we wouldn't have to sacrifice Genio, at least, or the other Saja boys having to die, and then people could ship them as much as they'd like without contradicting canon. Now, whenever the demons should all still get contained from pushing back Guima or not is up to you. Well, I hope that the sequel at least makes sure to not drop this plotline. Speaking of demons, meet Potential Men, the Saja Boys! We don't know anything about them with the exception of Jinyu. The only thing I know about them is that Baby is the only one with a memorable personality trait.
Saja is the winner!
Goo goo gaga.
They kind of just exist. No crap, they literally just spawned into the aether. Except for Jinyu. They aren't fleshed out whatsoever, they don't really have any personality, they just kinda exist as background noise. Damn, they might be even more underdeveloped than Rumi, because at least Rumi has a personality, an arc, and something, even though she's extremely underwhelming. Look, I understand there's supposed to be mystery men, then again one of them is named Mystery, but at least have them have something that makes them, you know, not a caricature. They're really just there to exist and be caricatures rather than characters. Honestly, though, I will still make whatever with, like, either music from this movies for fan projects, but still. But, you know what, I think it's time I bring up my last point, because I don't really have much else to say. The fandom. Now, look, this isn't really the biggest known, like, toxic fandom of all time, and this isn't really a knock against the movie, but there ended up being AI animations of the movie that certainly left an awful impression. Like, YouTube ads were clearly not managed, and also, you have everyone treating this like the coming of Christ, and if you hate it, then you'll be treated like you're the spawn of Guima and immediately start getting jumped or whatever. Like, for crap's sake, I once made an explanation about why this movie is overrated to someone, and they immediately tried calling the cops on me for that. Yeah, they genuinely think not liking it is a crime. To be honest, if this fandom ends up getting an infamous rep like toxic Sonic fans, toxic JJK fans, and to a lesser extent toxic Star Wars fans, and I say to a lesser extent because of how there are people out there who refuse to accept that Disney, despite having some serious issues, were never what ruined Star Wars. It was the fan base for being constantly whiny all the time and just not being happy at all. I genuinely will not be surprised. I have this really bad assumption that the fandom will become infamous one day due to being narcissistic and refusing to let people criticize Kpopdemonhunters and will wish death on you if you don't like the movie. Honestly though, if that's not the case and it's toxic for other reasons, yeah, that will not be a surprise either. And that's all I have to say for this video. I'm gonna get crucified for this, but frankly, I'm sorry. I had to say all of that. I had to explain why the movie wasn't the masterpiece people see it as is. And I guess I can also just say, I just didn't care. I apologize if my points were not exactly the best written, or the best fleshed out, but I felt I really had this all out for my sake. And also because I really want to express how I feel about this movie on its first anniversary. In which case, happy first anniversary, Kpopdemonhunters! I didn't even watch the movie until near the end of last year because I knew I couldn't escape it any longer, and because it's fucking everywhere. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Please, whatever you do not attack anyone who hates Kpopdemonhunters. And this video was just meant to be made out of my pure honesty, and it's also a short review about why I personally think it just didn't resonate with me as it did for like others. And yeah, I've seen much better works, and heck, this isn't even the best Sony has ever made. And with that said, thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll like and subscribe, and stay funky, everyone. Have a good one.